and welcome to Rauta with American-based black metal band, this time for review. Serpentshrine might be a rather new name to the whole thing, but rest assured it's pretty much worth checking out. Now I have heard over the years a lot of different takes on American black metal. Some people think it's virtually non-existent, and yet a lot of people also keep praising how well or good nowadays the US BM scene has become. Given it's a vast country, however, it seems like US BM is very small thing compared to a lot of European countries. Whether we are talking about smaller countries such as Norway or Sweden or Finland, or bigger ones, say France or Germany, it seems like US BM is actually lacking worthwhile bands, especially compared to the given size. And as such, whenever I hear an interesting band coming from US playing black metal, I am saying, color me interested. Why so? Because there are plenty of good bands, starting with bands like Judas Iscariot or Absu, or even old school names like Vaughn or, say, Black Funeral. However, more so I keep hearing rather crappy solo projects coming from United States, which are not that interesting, to be honest. But there are interesting names popping up, and one of them is Serpentshrine, coming from Virginia. Now, this is their second album, Allegiance to the Myth, which was released in 2022, and this is three-man operation, it seems. I am lacking the CD here. It's actually in my home in Finland, but because I have no access to it, I'm very much leaning to the information right here in Metal Archives. So this second album comes with some 45 minutes of music, 8 tracks and all that stuff. And it's kind of a modern, at the same time it's very traditional. That is, it combines the elements of 1990s black metal, so-called second era, to the more modern parts. There are parts where it sounds more like combining the rather dissonant elements of third wave of black metal, or just modern black metal, the very basic things that were going on in the 90s. And whether we are talking about late 90s, early 2000s, doesn't really matter. This is not exactly the early 90s Norwegian or Swedish, Finnish black metal, but it definitely has this kind of a timeless feeling to it. And in my opinion, this timeless element means that it's hard to say whether we're talking about 90s, early 2000s, or 2010s or so. But this is, then again, like I said, combined to the more modern elements, and that's where you keep it fluctuating in an interesting ways. However, where this band lacks the punch is to create these magnificent, great individual songs or even riffs. I'm talking about the kind of a classic songs that right in the beginning kind of get your brain with fire, like, hey, is it talking about In the Shadow of the Horns or Jesus Todd or, Panzer Division Marduk? The point here is, while you have a good album, and which is easy to listen and which is more versatile, like Allegiance to the Myth here, sometimes you also need those killer tracks which kind of make you an immortal thing. Immortal being also the band. Jokes aside, I'm saying Serpentshrine has something interesting in the works, but it's lacking the momentum of being very memorable. I know I keep saying these words way too often, but I also want to emphasize that it matters when you have a song that is able to capture the moment and seep into your brain as so well that you keep praising that to your friends and other people, or when you have an album which is just filled with great material. And that's what's not happening, unfortunately, with Serpentshrine. Don't get me wrong. It's definitely on the decent side, having some nice moments here and there. So there are riffs where you get the yeah, this is going to be the next good thing. But overall, it kind of misses those moments way too often. Being more like, for every good riff, maybe there is a couple, maybe 3 filler riffs, which are not necessarily bad or even mediocre, but more like, yeah, keeps the momentum going on, but are not that great to begin with. As an overall album review, I would say, or criticizing the whole thing here, is that this is very decent to review. And I almost said listen to. I almost wanted to give this a little bit higher score, But when I was like finished with the album after 2, 3, maybe 4 spins, I was always going back like, what can I really like remember of the album? Are there individual songs that really like nail it? And I'm like, nope. Then I go for another spin, and once again I'm thinking when the album is, played, and I'm like, there's nothing that really sticks. And that's my only complaint about it. It's not a big issue, but it's certainly an issue. So once again, this is an interesting album, but it lacks some fine-tuning, some polish, which could really, separate the decent from the good stuff. But definitely color me interested in the future as well when it comes to Serpentshrine. Definitely something interesting happening here and worth taking a shot at this. Just something more magic need to be added, and this will be in the chapter of good albums. That's pretty much of it. Now, if you have your interest already, check out the links provided in the description box and start listening and figure out for yourself whether or not this is worth your time. Thanks for checking out the review. See you soon.